What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Game On Improve Your Health podcast. Today's episode journey is being guided by none other than your host, Austin J, or hallucinodream, if you know from the gaming community. And today's topic is a follow-up and question and answer to last week's episode, which was part one of the nutrition series on added sugar. Thank you for tuning in and listening, and enjoy this episode. Blah, 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 blah. What's up, everybody? Austin J here. Thank you for returning, for those who have, and thank you for those who may be tuning in. This is a follow-up and question and answer to last week's episode, which was on added sugar. Now, if you haven't listened to that episode, go ahead and go back one episode and listen to that. I think it's a pretty good episode. The nutrition series, I feel, is going to be pretty powerful for those who may want to start fixing their nutrition or starting a nutritional journey, right? Eating a little healthier. Maybe they don't know where to start. So go ahead and listen to that episode. And then, if you have any questions, we have other follow-up and question and answers that we will do, and we can answer any further questions in those. So I'm going to start with the questions that came in. I did actually get one question, and the question was, why, in particular, did you pick added sugar first? And why do you think it's important to start with that one, right? Like that nutrient, or what the heck? Anyways, that is the question that came in. So I did explain this a little bit in the first episode, but I'll go back over that. I think, so why I picked added sugar was because that was the first thing I was able to really work towards eliminating from my diet. Now, it's very, very, very difficult to fully eliminate it, so I don't want anybody to think that that's what I was able to do. A lot of people are unable to do that, I would say, and that's okay. Small amounts of added sugar is going to be acceptable, right? It's just when you get up into the 20, 30, 40, 50 grams per serving that, the very high numbers, that it becomes detrimental, basically, to your health and your metabolic function and everything else. So why I picked that first, or why I think it might be beneficial for people to pick that first, and you don't have to. After you go through the nutritional series here and hear everything in regards to the nutrients to keep an eye out for and whatnot, you can pick which one is best for you to start with if you haven't started after this episode. So, but when you look at the nutrition label, added sugar is just added sugar. Now, if you look at, let's go more into that nutrition label. If you look at fats, they have saturated fat, monosaturated fat, polyunsaturated fat, and trans fat, a bunch of different fats, right? So if you were to start with that, you might instantly get overwhelmed because of those, I just labeled 4 different types of fats that could be in food. Whereas, and that might deter you from working towards that, just because it is overwhelming. The amount of information out there does become overwhelming. That's why I started this podcast. That's why I started One Punch, was to make it easier for everybody, in little baby steps, basically, and to help those people to begin their journey, to make it relatable, basically, to those who may want to start a health and wellness journey, or have started a couple different times and maybe were unable to follow through with it, right? So, and then carbohydrates, there are 2. There's complex carbs, simple carbs, right? And there's a little bit more that goes into that. So I feel, although I did label 5 or 6 different names for added sugar, for those that may be hiding inside there, and I'll have to get the statistics on this. I think I mentioned I was going to do that, but I completely forgot. I apologize. But After this episode, I'll look it up and I'll add it to the description when I post this. But added sugar generally is fairly on the easier side because it's just the added sugar, right? So you can look at the added sugar and determine almost immediately if it's too high. Like I said in last week's episode, my go-to, the make or break is just like 9, right? 9 is about as much as 9 grams of added sugar is just about as much as I will allow in a serving of food. I try to go lower than that, but sometimes it's just you can't, right? And that's okay. Sometimes you can't escape added sugar in some kind of food, right? Or something that you're looking for that might be canned or frozen. And that's okay. But typically I don't let it go over 9. That's just me personally. Now everybody's going to be different, and they're going to choose different numbers, and that's okay as well. But that number is the first thing. If I see that it's 10 or above, generally I will try to look for another brand or another version that has less. And 9 times out of 10, there's a number again, I'll be able to find that, right? So long as it doesn't have a bunch of other ingredients in it. We'll get to that in a different episode. But that's why I think added sugar is important for the first nutrient on the list to go over and try to expel from your diet, right? Because the benefits aren't there for added sugar, and added sugar is everywhere. And as overwhelming as it might be at the beginning, it's once you make it a habit, and I think a habit can be formed fairly quick, so long as you're paying attention to the nutrition labels. I think once you form a habit, it's going to be one of the easiest ones to eliminate, right? Now take that with a grain of salt when I use the term eliminate, because we're not going to want to eliminate carbs. We're not going to want to eliminate fat, and we're definitely not going to want to eliminate proteins, okay? When I say eliminate, I mean the bad versions of those, okay? And we'll get to those in those episodes, but that's why I think it would be the best for somebody to take added sugar as their first go-to elimination on that list. And, as I said in the first episode, some of the benefits would be prevention of fatigue, right? You might not get as fatigued as often. You might not hit that 2 o'clock feeling. You might not get a crash after you drink a Monster Energy, after getting that first initial gain of energy. And if we're speaking on sugar in energy drinks or anything related that you're looking for sugar to gain some energy, for the most part, the caffeine is not what's giving you the energy. It's the sugar. You're getting that initial glucose spike, and it's just pumping your energy levels very fast. But it also drops. I mean, as fast as you obtain it is as fast as it'll drop, which is why you get that crash for the most part from these high sugar drinks and foods. And that's what we want to try to avoid, because that will decline maybe work performance or physical performance, athletic performance, and definitely cognitive performance. We want to try to avoid that. So that answers that question. That's how I feel about added sugar. I think that is going to be probably the best one to start with to be able to build a habit on. And I think it's a good foundation. I think that is a good foundational nutrient to start with. So other than that, I think the only thing I want to stress is the importance of reading the nutrition labels and trying to eliminate sugar. And I want to stress that if you can't, let's say you're looking for, let's say you're looking for, so this is a hard one. Let's say you're looking for juice boxes for your child. You might not be drinking those, but I also do the same thing for my kid, right? If I wouldn't drink it, I'm not going to feed it to my kid. If I wouldn't eat it, I wouldn't feed it to my kid. That's my personal, because I want her to be just as healthy I want her to be healthier than I am. But juice boxes are particularly high in sugar. A lot of kids' foods are, and it's because they want those kids to come back to that food, right? Because kids are very good at convincing their parents to buy them what they want to eat and will eat. And it makes sense because if they're not going to eat anything else, you'll cave in and give them what they want to eat, right? And I'm guilty, do this quite a bit. Um, but juice boxes are one thing I will not get with sugar in it. And a lot of times, a lot of them have a lot of sugar in it. If there is a time where, let's say I go to a grocery store and there's 6 different kinds of apple juices, like the little boxed apple juices. And that's what she wants because she's sitting right next to me. In the cart, she's telling me she wants apple juice. And I go through and I see all 6 of them have added sugar in them. They range from 4 grams to 22 grams. I'll go through all of them, and even though the one has 4 grams in it, that's the lowest I can get, I'd probably choose that one so long it didn't have any other additives in it or preservatives, right? Which we'll get into it. But if I'm strictly looking for sugar, that's the one I would choose, okay? Let's put everything else aside. Let's forget what I just said about the additives and preservatives. I would choose that one with the 4 grams. I wouldn't go with the other ones. I don't care how much cheaper the other ones might have been. They could be $1 or $2 cheaper. I don't want to feed my kid that sugar because I know what it's going to do to her. I'm okay with spending the $1 or $2 extra for a 12-pack of apple juices if I know she's not going to be getting that much extra added sugar in her diet. Because I know there's no amount of money that's more important than your health. That's my personal opinion. I think that's a powerful way to look at it as well, because if I'm unhealthy, I can't go shopping with her, right? If I'm unhealthy, I might not be able to take care of her the way I do. If I'm unhealthy and it's starting to affect my mood might, phase in to my relationship with her, or my relationship with my wife, right? Or my family, my friends, something I want to avoid. So, and knowing that, it's a good habit to teach her as well. So when she's able to start understanding, I will be teaching her, what we're looking for and why and all of that. And I think that's powerful as well. Now, this doesn't go for just children, obviously, for myself, right? So I just used a juice box as an example, but sometimes that's a good example of sometimes that is something that is almost unavoidable. So there are specific stores that I have to go to get the juice boxes, and that's okay. But if I don't end up going there, or know I'm not going to be going there that week, I'm okay with compensating by getting that 4 gram of added sugar pack as opposed to the 10, the 11, the 16, the 22, right? So I just want to stress the importance of maybe just building a habit on that. And while you're doing so, try not to get overwhelmed, because again, if you're starting this and you drink Mountain Dew, Monster Energies, and that's the first thing you cut out, but you don't cut out anything else, and some of the other food you have has 10, 15 grams of added sugar in it, you are still cutting out those drinks that have 50 grams, 50, 60 grams of added sugar in them, and that is a very, 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 very beneficial change in nutrition and reduction of added sugar, even if you don't change anything else. The baby steps are what's gonna make the journey long lasting, and that's what we want. Baby steps will bring us to walking, which will bring us to jogging, which will bring us to running, and our nutrition journey, and it will just start gliding along, which is what we want. So that's what I have here for the episode. Next week it might be on something different. We might not be doing another nutrition series, but I think I'm going to follow up with carbs on the next nutrition series. So whether that is next week the topic of next week, or the following, not week because it's a follow-up, a question and answer, but the following week. That will be the next one. So hope everybody looks forward to that. If you like what you hear or have heard in this episode or the last episode, the nutrition episode, give us a follow, a like, write us a nice little review on the podcast. All of our links, if you're watching on YouTube, are over here on the left. If you're listening on the podcast platform, all of our links in the description. If you have any questions, reach out to us. If you have any good tips or how you may have gone through it, stories, we'd love to hear those as well, and we'd love to share those with everybody else. So you can let us know on our social media, reach out to us, email us, however you feel as though you want to reach out. And yeah, I hope to see. Thank you for tuning in and listening, and I hope to see everybody in the next episode. Thank you.